All right, general self-care. For all of us with our mental health, I really like this slide. This is a really nice summary of things that are really important for all of us, no matter where we are in our life. And particularly if we're living with a chronic health issue or changing health status, or if we're caring for someone in that situation. Okay, one, we need to connect with people, really important. We need to be as active as we can and find ways to move as best we can. We need to keep learning. We need to keep challenging our mind. We need to have a little bit of a sense of achieving things or finishing something or being part of something. That's really important. Doesn't matter how small it is or how big it is. Giving to others is also a really important thing. We know there's actually evidence out there that acts of kindness, acts of us giving ourselves to others in acts or in acknowledgement or supporting a cause actually changes our mood. And it's really important when we are in the ones in the hard place that we still look for opportunities to be able to give to others because it looks after us, even if they're only small. And number 5, of course, is what we're talking about very much today, is be mindful, becoming more aware of the present moment, being aware of our thoughts and our feelings and our body and the world around us. So that's where the mindfulness component comes in. So I'm just realising I can't see my clock anymore. All right, just a few slides, that will double up a little bit, but just to start to get a sense of what mindfulness is. We hear lots, some of you will have, and some will have heard it lots, the word mindfulness and meditation thrown around the place. So here's some definitions. So mindfulness is practicing to pay attention. It's knowing where our attention is focused. It's being able to choose where we direct it. And the reality is the research and evidence out there shows that paying attention to what we're doing right now in this moment, right now as in right now when you're on this Mito call, or a bit later when you're in the process of getting dinner together, or a bit later when you're stacking the dishwasher, or a bit later when you're getting dressed ready for bed, that is what actually makes us happiest. Focusing in on the moment. Not our big achievements in life. They're important and they contribute, but the thing that contributes the most to our happiness and satisfaction is our presence in a task that we're doing. And, you know, mindfulness, and I use this phrase a lot when I'm working with people and talking about mindfulness, it's about strengthening our muscle of attention. The same way that we may go to the gym and we might do bicep curls to strengthen our bicep muscle. Mindfulness is about strengthening our muscle of attention, about focusing on what's important, and not just, not just our brain up here that likes to go at 1,000,000 miles an hour from 1,000,000 places. So it's bringing it back to a focus. So another one is, it's described simply, mindfulness is the art of directing our attention to what is reality rather than what isn't. And so if you look in brackets about what's reality versus our ideas of reality, how things are, often, I've put my hand up here, how many of us get caught up spending a fair bit of time thinking about how we would like things to be? Yeah? In lots of different ways, in lots of different moments. And that's not mindfulness. And that takes energy, and it really takes away from our satisfaction and our sense of comfort and happiness in a simple term. The benefits of mindfulness, there's lots of emerging literature around this. And, simplistically, here's one summary. We know it decreases stress. So the stress response, people who practice mindfulness regularly report lower levels of stress. The enhanced capacity to deal with illness. Isn't that interesting? So that sense of sort of when we're paying attention to what's happening, paying attention to what's important. Facilitation of recovery. So if we've been not well or we're recovering from something, I see life as sort of one sort of real ongoing journey of recovery, really, because it's constant change. Decreased symptoms associated with depression. And improve general health. There's been quite a few articles that will talk about improvements in cardiac function, in cholesterol levels, in blood pressure between people who practice mindfulness versus who don't. It's another one. So we come back to the sense that mindfulness is about us choosing to focus on one thing at a time. And this one here is really important, this paying attention to what is important. And that's one of the things that really fits with mindfulness, is us needing to pause a bit and go, okay, what is important here? What are the most important things in my life, in my day, in my moment? And where do I then want to focus my attention, my thinking energy and my doing energy? And then responding in a way that fits with what's important to us. So if being kind to ourselves and listening to our bodies is what's important to us, and we're paying attention to that, then when we start to feel we've been doing some tasks at home or work and we're starting to feel fatigued, we're more likely to have a rest. Yeah, or do what we know helps. If we're not paying attention to that, then we're likely to just keep going until we fall in a heap. So paying attention, it gives us more choices as well. Not being on automatic pilot. Anyone who is or has been a driver remembers the moments in times where you've driven somewhere or just gone through a set of lights or gone from A to B, stopped the car and went, oh goodness, did I just do that? Did I just drive? I don't remember, or I assume that light was green that I just drove through, but I don't really remember whether it was or it wasn't. And which is not a really good way to drive. Very dangerous, but we all do it at times. And that's an example of us not being, where we are on automatic pilot, where we've just gone along and we've let our automatic pilot, the way we've always done something, just take over. And that's okay when that gets us there safely and it works, but it doesn't always. Sometimes it gets us very stuck, or maybe our judgment isn't as good. So automatic pilot is not what we want when we're being mindful. All right, the exciting thing about meditation and mindfulness is again, probably for about the last 10, 15 years, there has been continuing evidence, not just that we know it's good for us, but that it actually changes the brain. So there's two main ways in the shape of the brain and the size of the brain, or the amount of blood flow to the brain, that we know that practicing mindfulness and being more mindful helps. So it increases the size of the frontal cortex, which that's the part really in the front of our head. And that's our thinking part, our attention, our decision making, our concentration. And that we make better decisions, better choices. We pay attention, interestingly, isn't it? When we do more mindfulness and our frontal lobes better developed, we pay more attention to what's important and we concentrate on what's important. The area that decreases is the amygdala. I always have trouble with that word. And it's at the back of our brain, down the base, and it's often called, you might hear people talk about the reptilian part of our brain. That's that part. And it's the part that gives us our fight and flight stress response, which is from way back when we were back in the caveman days, when we sort of, we had to quickly decide whether we run or fight from the saber-toothed tiger. What do we do? So that's the part. And we know that when we practice mindfulness, that decreases. The other thing we know, anything that we do in our patterns of behavior, we usually repeat the same things again and again. And mindfulness helps us, if we get stressed all the time, we have a stress response to everything that doesn't happen the way that we were hoping it to, then that's the pattern we get into, and that becomes our standard response. And that increases a whole lot of stress and biochemistry in our body. Whereas if we can practice to pause and be mindful and decide, how do I want to respond to this situation? Then we change that pattern. And mindfulness helps us do that. It helps us rewire the brain and come up with some different solutions to things that maybe aren't working so well for us. And that's actually been proven in the neural pathways in our brain.